In New York especially, if you see the vendors start to get nervous and leave, something's wrong.
What was supposed to be a beautiful spring evening at the crossroads of the world nearly turned into bedlam after a terrorist set off a bomb in Times Square.
You're sweating. Anybody that says they weren't, they're lying.
I think it was on that day, we were lucky, but I think it's because we're good, and we're good because we're lucky.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Sal Bono, and this is New York Gritty.
Times Square in 2010, I believe, was actually very safe for the general public. You could walk through. They had gotten rid of the porn and the prostitution, that was on the streets. You had characters who you could take pictures with, and at least at that point, they were very engaging. You could go and people from around the world would come and see Times Square. But it was always considered at that time a place where people could go, families could walk through, and you were generally safe.
What happened on May 1st, 2010 in Times Square?
From all accounts, it was a regular day.
You heard this little pop, 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 which was almost like a firecracker going off and stuff, and then the sparks inside the car, you could see them.
It was a call-in from a vendor.
Keep moving.
There was a guy who had one of those carts in Times Square. He was a veteran, actually, and he saw smoke coming from the car. He knew that it didn't appear to be a fire per se, but he knew that there was something definitely wrong, and he was the first one to notify NYPD and the FDNY that something was up. On that day before the car, it was a normal day in Times Square. Thousands, if not 100,000 people might have been in Times Square, throughout the entire area. And when NYPD and FDNY were done clearing the area, it was a ghost town.
It was a startling moment. It was almost like a movie. As soon as I got under the tape, nothing was moving. And as I'm walking, I realized I'm in the heart of this city, and it's been evacuated. And it's like the proverbial empty, dust, things swirling through the street, and not a sound, nobody. And I'm from New York. I said, okay, this struck me as this feels different. And then as we got there, and I've got the briefing from Pete Licata and some other folks who were on scene, and this is the real deal. This is a real bomb in the center of our city that hasn't been deactivated yet. It's sitting right within our sight. It really struck home that, okay, this is where you start to think, what else is coming? Is this the start of something? And all these thoughts from an investigative standpoint start to roll through your head.
The FBI agents we spoke to shared their story with the CBS series, FBI True.
I'm starting to think at this point, okay, where's the subject? Who is driving the car? Because are they going to activate some other bombs? And in my head, I literally am thinking of a stopwatch being clicked, because now the hunt is on.
Someone left an SUV filled with explosives in the heart of Manhattan.
It was a bombing. It was just the bomb did not operate as it was intended to, thank God.
We analyzed the parts, the componentry, and then also had our experts down at the FBI laboratory provide us some analysis. This was not the sum of all fears device. This was, fortunately, a poorly constructed attempt at an IED.
Agents were able to make Times Square safe and defuse the bomb. Now the chase was on to find out who did this.
The damage it would have been catastrophic. And that video that we did, that, again, not reenactment, test shot, confirms the damage that would have been done. And more importantly, when you think about Manhattan, it's cavernous, right? And one of the main things that you get with a large, any type of device, but especially a device this size, it's what we call blast pressure effect. And it's this pressure that you don't see. It's the hardest wind you could almost imagine. And it bounces like a racket ball, but in volume. And that's what knocks down buildings and knocks you over and damages your vital organs. And the more you have what we call secondary and tertiary fragmentation, which is the shattering of glass that's going to go from the west side all the way to Times Square, east side, west side. And it goes 360, it goes up and down, left and right. So it would have been catastrophic. Fortunately, it wasn't. We got lucky that day with regard to, he got it down there. He brought a vehicle that he thought was going to function, full of explosives down there to do some significant damage. He, fortunately, for everybody, didn't build it the right way.
and we continue to pursue a number of leads. But it's clear that the intent behind this terrorist act was to kill Americans.
FBI agents traced the SUV to a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Pakistan named Faisal Shahzad, who was living in Connecticut. He purchased the SUV a few weeks earlier.
He was a student and also working, but a student at the University of Bridgeport going for his master's degree in computer science. Not a dumb guy, not somebody who was living in his parents' basement and, this kind of what you would always expect a lone wolf to be. This was something that he was really focused on, and that people didn't know it. People around him didn't know he was doing this, but he had traveled to Pakistan. He had learned how to build a bomb, and he had, enough of a technology and engineering background that he did his best in developing the bomb.
Almost 54 hours after the bombing, Shahzad was arrested at JFK Airport.
Faisal had planned to leave New York as soon as he could after the bombing. He did stay around for a while, but then when he started seeing that we were actually closing in on him, he then headed to the airport and he was going to fly to Dubai.
Why Dubai?
His wife was in Dubai, and that in Dubai he was then going to fly to Pakistan. So it was not going to be a direct flight, but that was his ultimate goal.
It was interesting when we first put hands on Mr. Shah, when he was first arrested, he was almost too easily giving up that, no, I'm just disaffected. I'm just angry. I'm only alone. And it struck me and my fellow special agents a little too quick. He was just, no, I'm on my own. I'm not involved with anybody else. I wasn't directed by anybody. And all evidence at that point indicated that this was just somebody who somehow is self-radicalized, but something, that intuition, that instinct took over for all our investigators and said, there's something more here. And we started to pull apart forensically, the life and talk to him. We were fairly rapidly, as he was being debriefed and interviewed, no, there's something more to this. And that's where he found out that, no, there was direction from an overseas element, that there were connections to a terror tie, that this was actually an act that had been instructed or guided by an overseas terrorist group, in this case, the Pakistani Taliban.
Agents came to understand how Shahzad was radicalized by the Taliban.
It's a great analogy when you start to talk about the mob and the mafia. Remember, the commonality there is these groups use people. They find people who are either have some kind of challenge in their life or are looking for something, and they take full advantage of it. In this case, what we believe or what we know, what we put together now, is Mr. Shahzad was disaffected, was not happy with his life, was trying to rediscover his religion, went back, and it was recognized by these groups. We don't know exactly who, but they brought him in and they played upon that. They said, you're right, you can strike back. You need to do this for your religious beliefs. You need to do this for your country. And it resonated with him. They, in a lot of ways, although my sympathy's not there, they took advantage of him.
The FBI agents we spoke to said securing the safety of New Yorkers, the quick dismantling of the bomb, and the arrest of Shahzad came down to great teamwork among all levels of law enforcement that day.
One of the things that people have to remember, that the most effective weapon we have against this terrorism, crime, anything, is the teamwork that we show. And that's teamwork not only amongst groups like the FBI or the NYPD, but with each other. All of the agencies working together, especially in response to an emergency incident. There is an old African saying that a lot of us fall back on, it is, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And that sticks with law enforcement.